Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're getting right into a really fascinating book, or parts of it anyway.
That's right. It's The Triple Focus, A New Approach to Education by Daniel Goleman and Peter Senge.
We've gone through excerpts, and we're pulling out what they see as, well, really essential skills for young people, and honestly, for all of us.
Exactly. For you, the learner, the mission here is to get to the heart of this framework Goleman and Senge developed.
We're looking at their inner, other, and outer focuses.
Yeah.
The idea is these can help us, thrive.
Especially now, with the world changing so fast. So yeah, think of this as your kind of key guide to their thinking on education and just, well, human development.
Okay, so this triple focus, what exactly is it? They lay out three main areas.
Right. First up is inner focus, basically understanding ourselves, our emotions, how we manage them.
Then there's the other focus. That's about empathy, right?
Yeah.
And social skills.
Exactly. And the third is outer focus. This is about seeing the bigger picture, understanding the systems around us.
And they argue these three are totally interconnected. Indispensable, really.
And you have to consider the world kids are growing up in now. It's just unprecedented.
Yeah, the authors point this out. The internet, smartphones, they've been there almost from day one for many kids.
Which brings amazing things, access to information, but also real challenges, attention, focus, maybe less face-to-face stuff.
Plus, you layer on these huge social and environmental issues they're facing.
It makes it pretty clear why, maybe a new approach to these skills is needed. So necessary.
Okay, let's dive into that first one then. Inner focus, knowing ourselves.
Goleman and Senge really emphasize self-awareness here. Understanding what you're feeling and, crucially, why you're feeling it. It's foundational.
They give this great example, a second grade class in New Haven. The kids share their feelings every day.
Think about that. Such a simple practice, but it's building emotional literacy right from the start.
And the core idea, it seems, is that building this emotional vocabulary, it's not just some soft skill.
No, absolutely not. It's a fundamental cognitive skill. It directly impacts how we make decisions, how we handle stress, throughout life.
That example they give about teenagers with eating disorders, not being able to tell sadness from hunger back when they were younger.
Right. It just shows how vital it is to be able to actually name what's going on inside. Powerful stuff.
Definitely. And inner focus isn't just about identifying emotions, is it? It's also about where we put our attention.
Exactly. Goleman and Senge say when we tune in to what really matters to us personally, that's where intrinsic motivation comes from.
That inner drive, yeah. The thing that keeps you engaged in learning, or anything really.
It's about linking your focus to your own values, your sense of purpose.
And this links to that amazing brain science, neuroplasticity.
Right. Our brains are constantly being shaped by what we do repeatedly. Attention isn't fixed. It's like a muscle.
We can strengthen it.
We absolutely can. They talk about the breathing buddies exercise, second graders in Spanish Harlem.
Yeah, I like that one. Just focusing on their breathing with a little toy on their stomach.
And it worked. Had a noticeable effect. Calmer kids, better concentration. Simple, but effective.
Such a clear example of training attention, which leads to mindfulness, doesn't it?
It does. Paying attention to thoughts, feelings, right now, without getting swept away.
It creates that pause, that space to think before just reacting.
And that ability to direct your attention where you want it. They call it cognitive control. Super important.
For resisting distractions, yeah.
Yeah.
And managing impulses, even delaying gratification.
Which brings us, naturally, to the marshmallow test, the famous one.
Right, but it's more than just, cute kids trying not to eat marshmallows.
Way more. The follow-up study showed a real link between delaying gratification at age 4 and, well, success later on.
Better focus, higher SAT scores even, more than IQ or parents' education predicted.
It really shines a light on cognitive control and how it connects to grit.
That determination to stick with long-term goals, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And the good news is cognitive control isn't fixed. You can develop it.
Like that Sesame Street bit they mentioned with Cookie Monster.
Yeah, the Cookie Connoisseur Club. And interestingly, Walter Mischel, the marshmallow test guy, actually helped develop it.
Huh, no way. That's great.
And they also mentioned things like video games, like Tenacity, designed specifically to help kids build focus.
Okay, so that's inner focus. Let's shift to the second one, other focus.
Right. Tuning in to other people. Empathy is key here, understanding how others feel and think.
Plus those social skills, cooperation, teamwork, all that good stuff.
Goleman and Senge argue these are learned early on, and they're the foundation for good relationships, leadership, everything, really.
And there's biology behind this too, right?
Yeah.
Social neuroscience, mirror neurons.
Yes. Fascinating stuff. These brain cells fire when we do something, but also when we just watch someone else do it.
So it's like we're simulating their experience internally.
Kind of, yeah. It helps us intuitively grasp intentions, emotions, a biological basis for empathy. Our brains are wired for it.
Wow. Now, they make an important distinction, don't they? Between just understanding others and actually caring.
That's a crucial point they make. Cultivating caring and compassion. Many SEL programs focus on the understanding part.
But maybe miss the motivation to help part.
Exactly. That genuine care is often overlooked, they argue.
That Good Samaritan study example really hits this home.
Right. Seminary students thinking about the parable of helping, but if they felt rushed,
they might walk right past someone who needs help.
It shows that just understanding isn't enough. You need to be sort of predisposed to act on it. Time pressure can really shut that down.
And they break empathy down further into 3 types.
Yes, helpfully. Cognitive empathy, understanding perspectives. Emotional empathy, feeling with someone.
And the third one?
Empathic concern. That's the one that leads to actually doing something, taking action to help. That's the bridge from feeling to acting.
So that caring classroom idea makes a lot of sense.
Totally. When teachers model kindness, concern, it creates this supportive vibe, good for emotional growth and good for learning, too.
Especially for kids who might be having a tough time outside school.
And research is looking into how to actually teach this, like using guided reflections.
Getting kids to think about how others are just like me.
Exactly. Simple idea, but it broadens perspective, pushes back against negative stereotypes. Powerful technique.
Okay, third pillar, outer focus, understanding the bigger picture, systems thinking.
Right. Recognizing that systems are everywhere. Families, schools, organizations, the whole world.
And understanding how they work helps us see how we shape them and how they shape us more intentionally.
And this connects to a huge issue they raise, the Anthropocene dilemma.
Meaning, human actions are now impacting the entire planet.
Pretty much. We're changing Earth's systems, often with unintended consequences that damage the very systems that support life.
And the problem is our brains aren't really wired to notice these huge, slow changes easily, or tiny ones that add up.
Exactly. It's easy to ignore them. So education has to help us develop this systems view for better decisions.
That story about Malpialug, the navigator.
Oh, the celestial navigator. Yeah, incredible. Navigating the Pacific using just stars, waves, birds.
It really underscores these basic human skills, doesn't it? Self-awareness, empathy, collaboration, and systems thinking. Technology isn't enough.
Precisely. We have this innate systems intelligence, just like we have innate empathy, but it needs cultivation.
Like how traditionally people learned from observing the natural world.
Right. The living world was the teacher. Modern education can unlock this, they argue, with the right tools and methods.
They talk about dynamic complexity,
Yeah.
using a gyroscope as an example.
Yeah, it illustrates how cause and effect aren't always obvious. There can be delays, feedback loops, things aren't linear.
Like that preschooler example, calling a friend a jerk way after the thing that actually upset them happened.
Perfect illustration of a time lag messing with understanding the system of their interaction.
And it's great to hear about teachers actually doing this, integrating systems thinking.
Yeah, some really cool examples. The middle school class designing a county park, tackling real environmental, social factors.
Or the algebra teacher seeing the classroom itself as a system of learners.
Right, fostering peer teaching.
Yeah.
And Diana Fisher's high school students building computer simulations of really complex issues like drug addiction.
Huh?
Shows deep understanding.
Wow. And social systems add another layer, right? Because people see things differently.
Absolutely. Different perspectives, different values. That video of the 6-year-olds mapping out mean words and hurt feelings.
Amazing. They're analyzing a feedback loop on the playground and figuring out how to change it.
Incredible insight for that age. And then the 8th graders looking into that controversial immigration law.
By actually interviewing people with different views.
Yes. It shifted their perspectives, shows how systems thinking can build empathy around tough societal issues. Vital for democracy, as Deborah Meyer said, understanding different views.
So all these examples point to specific habits of a systems thinker.
Exactly. Things like seeing time delays, spotting unintended consequences, shifting perspectives, understanding feedback loops.
Realizing that the structure of a system often dictates behavior.
And identifying those key leverage points where a small change can make a big difference. It's a framework for deeper thinking.
Okay, so we have these 3 focuses. Inner, other, outer. How do they actually work together? Goleman and Senge see a real partnership here.
Definitely. Between social emotional learning, SEL, and systems education, they're not separate things.
Developing that systems intelligence is tied to understanding ourselves and others.
Intrinsically linked. The SEL skills, self-awareness, managing emotions, empathy, social skills, they actually make us better thinkers, more cognitively efficient.
And better at understanding different viewpoints.
Exactly. Combine that with systems insights into how people and groups interact. You get much better personal decision-making.
And our ability to care. That empathy piece. It connects to systems thinking too.
Deeply. Our awareness of the consequences of our actions, especially the wider systemic consequences, fuels our capacity to care on a larger scale.
Beyond just the people right in front of us.
Right. Think of Einstein's quote about widening our circle of compassion. Systems thinking helps us do that.
And seeing young kids grasp these complex ideas kind of challenges old models of how kids develop cognitively, doesn't it?
It really does. Maybe it's less like a straight ladder and more like a spiral, integrating analysis and synthesis early on.
Alongside a spiral of emotional development.
Potentially, yeah. A more integrated view.
Which means teaching needs to change too. Less lecturing.
Much less. More active learning. Experience-based, project-based, cooperative learning, focusing on real issues that matter to the students.
Letting them build their own understanding, their own models.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, implementation is key. And often it's the weak link.
They mentioned the UK's SEAL program as an example of maybe not doing it ideally.
Right. Top-down mandates without real support, real buy-in, they often fall short.
So you need to prepare teachers properly, involve parents, build leadership.
At all levels. It has to be about commitment, not just compliance. They talk about this vicious cycle, too.
Lack of trust in teachers leads to rigid top-down programs, which then don't work well, reinforcing the lack of trust.
Precisely. It highlights the need for honest conversations about our underlying beliefs, our mental models about education and teachers.
So how do you build momentum then?
They suggest focusing on those who are already keen. Support them, empower them, let their success and enthusiasm build momentum naturally.
Peer learning, seeing tangible results, that spreads the ideas.
Exactly. And they build on the established CASEL guidelines for SEL.
By adding principles specifically for integrating systems learning.
Right. Things like building healthy leadership structures, emphasizing that it should be voluntary, respecting teachers' professionalism, engaging the whole community.
It sounds like these networks, SEL and systems thinking, are growing, though.
They are, steadily, and potentially could reach a real tipping point, maybe 10, 20% within the next decade or so.
Especially if they link up with other innovation movements.
Yeah, there's real potential there. And ultimately, seeing how inner, other, and outer focus connect makes each one more understandable, more compelling.
For educators, parents, and students themselves.
Plus, businesses increasingly want people with these integrated skills. They see the value.
But maybe the most important point. Kids get it. They see the big challenges.
They absolutely do. Environmental issues, social issues, they feel the urgency. And they need to feel their schools are actually preparing them to act.
That story of the 12-year-old leading the charge for a wind turbine at her school.
Incredible. And her message to the adults. Just wow.
We kids are ready, are you? Powerful stuff. A real call to action.
Indeed. So wrapping up this deep dive on the triple focus, it's clear these three areas, inner awareness, empathy, systems thinking, are just crucial.
Yeah, we've seen how they're linked, how nurturing them helps us make better decisions, build stronger connections.
And develop a greater capacity to tackle the big challenges we face, both personally and, globally.
And those specific examples really stick with you, don't they? The breathing buddies, the marshmallow test.
The 6-year-old's figuring out playground dynamics, and that 12-year-old demanding climate action. It shows this stuff is real and powerful at all ages.
Absolutely. This conversation, of course, is just scratching the surface.
Definitely. So for you, the learner, maybe think about which focus resonates most right now. Where's the biggest opportunity for growth for you? Or for people you influence?
Yeah, ideas like neuroplasticity, emotional literacy, cognitive control, systems intelligence.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore there.
Loads.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. If we really do have this powerful innate capacity, even in young kids, to understand ourselves, others, and the systems around us.
As Goleman and Senge argue.
Right. Then what fundamental shifts do we need in our own thinking and in our education systems to really unlock that potential?
How do we fully equip ourselves and the next generation for everything that's coming? Good question to ponder.